Hey there, welcome back, and it's time for the 31 days of Halloween, which I'm watching 31 horror movies over the course of October, leading up to, you guessed it, yes, the 31st of October, Halloween itself, and which I'm saving my favorite horror movie for the end. I'm actually saving all of my favorite movies for the end of this series, and that's what we're getting this week leading up to Halloween. Halloween's a few days away. We're getting there. Still plenty of time to buy your candy corn. I know it's a horror movie. Horror. I know this is one of my favorite vampire movies. Gosh, this movie has everything for this person. I was a young person when I saw this. I was 15, going on 16. I was about 16 years old when I saw this. I worked at a video store in South Boston, so I had unlimited access to all the movies that I ever wanted. And this was a new release at the time, so I watched this a bunch of times. Love this show. It is Ken Russell's 1988 vampire movie. So British. This is a very British movie. It's as British as like a Monty Python movie or the such. It's very, very British. This is Ken Russell's Lair of the White Worm. They don't get sexier than this. As vampire movies go, there's always an element of sex appeal to a vampire movie. We're going to get into a little bit with this one because this is overt and subverting at the same time. Trigger warnings. This contains a grape scene in a flashback to the Roman days of this part of England, to where they were sealing the worm. This is based on a 1911 Bram Stoker story. Bram Stoker is the person who wrote Dracula. He invented Dracula. And he also wrote this tale too about the Lambton Worm. The Lambton Worm is a legend from County Durham in the northeast England in the UK. The story takes place around the River Wear and is one of the area's most famous pieces of folklore, having been adapted from written and oral tradition into pantomime and song formats. I'm reading that from the wiki, of course. And it's got a great cast. Amanda Donohoe, beautiful, awesome British actress of the 80s, and actually a little bit more notoriety with her. She was Adam Ant. If you know Adam Ant, the aka Stuart Goddard, the new wave pop star of the late 70s and early 80s. They were shacked up together, and she was underage. She was about 16 years old, I believe, and living with this late 20, early 30 something rock star. And they were together for a few years, and that has a lot of notoriety. And Amanda Donohoe's in this, but also Hugh Grant, and he was very young Hugh Grant. You might recognize him from here. Hugh Grant, a British actress named Catherine Oxenberg, and one of her big claims to fame was she was on the ABC primetime soap opera Dynasty. And she was the love interest of the son of one of the two, the patriarch and the matriarch, and it was a big thing. Yeah, the wedding. My parents were so into that show. Wednesdays were sacred in my house. Wednesdays 10 p.m. Go to bed, kid. Yeah. So and also stars a 30-year-old Peter Capaldi, who you might remember as one of the Doctors Who. Peter Capaldi is a wonderful actor. And so this is just chock full of really good actors chewing up screen time. Great practical effects. Awesome use of sexuality when it comes to vampires. There's something seductive about this vampire. That's what she uses, her allure. And to get thralls. Actually, the vampirific thralls, like that is just I love that notion too. But there is something sexual about the vampire, and there is some kind of allegory to sex, especially with penetration, and most specifically the phallic look of the vampire teeth, biting or, entering another person with or without consent. So it's just, there's something always latently sexual about vampires. Yeah, and especially if you read your Anne Rice and those vampire books too. I won't be covering Anne Rice's movies this year because they really weren't my favorites. I really didn't enjoy Interview with the Vampire. Oh, and I don't think I saw Queen of the Damned, but that was a darn good book. I would go back and watch Queen of the Damned just to catch up on it. It is a vampire movie, and it's got really hot cast too. You know what I mean? But this is Lair of the White Worm. It's one of the late 80s vampire movies. There was a cluster of them because the year before this came Catherine Bigelow's Near Dark and Joel Schumacher's The Lost Boys. And we all know The Lost Boys, the soundtrack, the movie itself. And these are a few of my favorite late 80s vampire movies. I watched this endlessly. This was just so sexy. Really was. And fond memories. Just like these beautiful British women and this really interesting movie now watching again as a grown-up years later. I got this about 2 years ago. This is probably the fourth time I've watched it since I picked it up. And now it's, seeing the Vestron Video logo at the beginning of this, it just brings back, it's so nostalgic, brings back all the feels. So yeah, today we are watching 1988's Lair of the White Worm by Ken Russell. A very sexy, a very naughty vampire. And has a great ending. Yes, I guess that's one of the rules of a horror movie. The twist ending. The last story beat. And right before the credits. And you're left with this wow feeling. And this wild ride. And I love this movie. It has its limitations. It's one of the first horror movies to use computer-generated images and graphics, and not too well either. So it's got a good blending of practical effects and CGI, or when you say computer-aided, more in this timeline. But yeah. I would totally recommend this to you if you like vampire movies, sexy vampire movies. There's a lot going on different levels in this movie. Yeah, and I invite you, be part of this. I hope you're enjoying the 31 Days of Halloween as much as I am. Like and subscribe. I would love to earn your subscription. We make daily content here, and we talk about good stuff. And we want to keep that energy going and percolating and sharing. You are the most important part of this show. This conversation we're having right now about movies. This is one of my favorites. I hope if this has passed you by, stop, drop, and giggle. Go turn yourself on this October 27th to our day, in this 31 days of Halloween. Check out Lair of the White Worm. Great vampire movie. Cheers, namaste, good luck, eat garlic, say your prayers, and don't let the wrong ones in. You have a good one. Cheers, bye-bye.